Good morning, vinyl community, and everybody out there in YouTube land. Kendall Stokes coming to you today on the Spin Doctor and his Vinyl Mayhem YouTube channel. Today's video is going to be definitely different than any of my other videos. Today's a tribute video that I really wanted to do much sooner, but turns out it's definitely much too late. Again, more of a somber note. My mother, who this tribute is for, passed away this past Monday. And if any of you know me personally, you know that she was, that I was very close to her. And she really influenced me at a young age when it came to music. She was very, very talented altogether, but music especially. Excuse me. She played the piano, she played the guitar, and she sang. Here's a picture of her at a talent show. This is actually taken in Bitburg, Germany, where my father was stationed at the time, back in the early 80s. This guitar actually that she's playing is the guitar that I first learned how to play when I was young. Also, this guitar she played when she was pregnant with me, and so I have a very fond memory of this guitar. My oldest daughter now owns this guitar as well, so it's still in the family. But you know, I'm very very sure that it's because of the fact that she played that guitar while she was pregnant with me that I am so honed in on the guitar now and have a love for the guitar because of her. But what I wanted to do today are go through some records that remind me of her. And every time I either hear these records or songs on these records, I always automatically think of her. Now, definitely more so than ever. You know, I'm not gonna lie to you. I was listening to some of these over the last few days and start bawling like a baby, just because those memories are so vivid for when I was a kid. And you know, I just automatically think of her. So this may be a little bit of a hard video for me to make. Like I said, I actually wanted to make this video before she passed. So my mom's had been, well, she had cancer. We didn't actually find out that she had the cancer until just a few months ago. And when we found out, it was really, honestly, way too late. It had eaten up so much of her. It was all over, and it was just really, really too late. And when she passed away this past Monday, it just kind of all happened so fast and so suddenly that there just wasn't anything that could really be done. So it's been a very difficult week, but know that she's in a better place and she's in no more pain. So anyway, let's get into the records though, because these are some good records, I think, and not normally all of them are in my wheelhouse, but the records that I grew up on, and so I love them because of that, because they remind me of her. So here we go. First things first, my mom loved beautiful vocals, and I've shown some of these before as well in my guilty pleasure, so keep that in mind. But my mother loved Karen Carpenter. This is the Carpenter's Greatest Hits. My mom thought she just had a beautiful voice, which she did, and so this is the greatest hits. So anytime I hear a Carpenter song, I automatically think of my mother. So this one, obviously. Now, the song that I know my mom really loved by the Carpenters was a cover song that they did that's not actually on this. My mother loved their cover of the Eagles' Desperado. She just loved Karen's sweet, somber vocal on that. So sweet, so pure, so just, you know, just perfect. And it is a very good cover. If you haven't heard that, I would encourage you to go out and stream that. Just a beautiful, beautiful cover of that song. So simple, very, very good. So Carpenter's Greatest Hits. Anytime I hear the Carpenters, I automatically think of my mom. Another one that my mom would play a lot is Bread. You know, Bread, just another one of those kind of sappy, beloved ballad bands, but my mom was a big fan. You know, Make It With You, Everything I Own, Diary, Baby I'ma Want You, It Doesn't Matter to Me If, I could go on. But yeah, anytime I hear those songs, my thoughts of my mom come rushing back. She really loved that kind of music, and she was a fan of Bread. She actually had this compilation, I remember, and so that's where I first was introduced to this band. So I remember buying this. It was in like a $3 bin or something like that, and so I had to pick it up. So Bread is another one of those bands. So this one, I don't know how many people in the VC are familiar with this guy, Skip Ewing. This is Skip Ewing, The Will to Love. It's a promo copy, actually. Skip Ewing is a country artist. He didn't have a ton of success as a solo artist. Most of his success came as a songwriter. He has won plenty of awards as a songwriter. This was one of his more successful albums he did as a solo artist. His debut before this, I think, was actually his most successful. But the song on this that actually was very successful for him was a song called "It Wasn't His Child." He wrote that, and it's technically actually a Christmas song. It's been covered by Reba McEntire, Kenny Rogers, Tim McGraw, and many others, I'm sure, as well. But those are the notable ones that come to my mind. My mother loved that song because it's a song from the perspective of Joseph, the father of Jesus. You know, it wasn't really his child, and so that was a very good song. It was a song that my mother really enjoyed, because we always, you know, hear songs, you know, from Mary's perspective, and you know, and our perspective as, you know, in the Christmas time. But there are some other good songs on this as well. The Will to Love actually is the self-titled song on this, not self-titled, but the title track on this record. It was actually a good song as well. So if you haven't heard Skip Ewing, look him up. He actually does have some good songs out there, and this was one that I remember my mom having on cassette tape when I was really young. So good record. I'll always think of my mom when listening to Skip Ewing. Next, my mom was a huge Beach Boys fan. She loved the vocal harmonies of the Beach Boys. But I'm going to go a little obscure with this one. This is Surf's Up by the Beach Boys. This came out, oh geez, I think after Smiley Smile, 1972. There really aren't any tracks on this that I think were big hits. But this is a great record. The reason I picked this one and not, you know, one of their more notable ones is because there's a track on here called Take a Load Off Your Feet. that I remember my mom telling me that that song always stuck with her. Just a very obscure, kind of funny song uh, that she that she just always thought was funny and good. And this, I remember I found this at Noble Records of all places, $5, which was a steal because it's still in the shrink in perfect condition. Um, and my mother, when she, my parents had COVID, and my dad was in the hospital for like a month. We weren't sure that he was going to make it. My mom had COVID as well, but not real bad because of her health conditions. They we were worried about her, but she was only in the hospital for a few days, and they released her, but we didn't want her to be at home by herself because she had a hard time getting around and everything like that. So she came and stayed with us for like almost 2 weeks while my dad was still in the hospital. And so she was staying at our house, and I had gotten off of work one day, or I'd gone to Noble Records and, did my normal browsing, obviously, and I found this. And I knew that this had that song on it, and so I bought it, of course, and I brought it home, and I showed it to my mom. I said, "Hey, Mom, look at this." And she was like, "Oh, hey, isn't it the one that has," and I was like, "Yeah." And so we sat down and we listened to this whole record together. And it was the first time in a long time we had really listened to music together like that. And this was, maybe 2 years ago now. And it just, it made me smile. So, and just a fond memory of my mom that I had here. So anyway, my mother also was a big fan of singer-songwriters, and she really liked John Denver. And this record, one of his more popular records, obviously, a lot of big hits on this. Back Home Again, obviously, the title track. Thank God I'm a Country Boy, Annie Song. But there are 2 tracks that really weren't so popular were the ones that were her favorites on here. And I remember being a young kid, and when she would play the guitar, she'd play 2 songs on the guitar off of this. A song called Matthew, and a song called Sweet Surrender. Sweet Surrender, I think, was her favorite John Denver song. And I encourage you to go listen to that song. Beautiful guitar playing, and just a very beautiful melodic song. And my mom, like I said, a lot of people told me, my friends, people at church, and all that stuff, because my mom sang in church all the time too. They always told me that my mother had a beautiful voice, and I agree. I mean, I think she did. I loved hearing her sing that song, Sweet Surrender. And so this record is one that just I automatically think of my mom, because there's so many songs on here that I remember hearing her sing, but Sweet Surrender tops that one. Just a beautiful song, and no offense to John Denver, but who's obviously passed away, but I will always think of my mom singing that beautiful melodic song on the guitar. Just I can picture it in my head. Just, yeah. So, next I have, let's see, what do we got? Oh, so this, when I was young, my mom's a huge Paul Simon fan. And I remember going to the store with her one day, and her buying this compilation CD of Paul Simon called Negotiations and Love Songs, 1971 to 1986. And it's got everything from his solo career in that time frame, which so many good songs on that. And my mom, what she would always do is she would make mixtapes from the CDs. And there was a lot of songs from this collection on that mixtape. And this thing has so many great songs on it. Mother and Child Reunion, Me and Julio, Down by the Schoolyard, uh, Loves Me Like a Rock, Chrome, Have a Good Time, 50 Ways to Leave Your Lover Still Crazy After All These Years, Slip Sliding Away, Hearts and Bones, Train in the Distance, Diamonds on the Soles of Her Shoes, You Can Call Me Al, Graceland. I mean, just a phenomenal compilation. And for one thing, it's very hard to find this on vinyl because CDs had kind of really taken over. So when I found this on vinyl, I was so excited because it just brought back so many memories of that time, that CD, that mixtape that she had. But I loved listening to that mixtape in the car. Especially the memory that always comes back to me is when my mom would drop me off at school or drop me off at the bus stop and we'd wait for the bus. So I'd sit in the car listening to that mixtape and just listening to these songs and just singing every word. And Me and Julio, Down by the Schoolyard is definitely my favorite Paul Simon song from his solo career. Being the guitar guy that I am, I just always loved that opening riff, I guess you'd call it. So simple, so good. So just when I found this, I was so excited. I wanted to show her that I picked this up, and I never got around to showing her because I knew she would think that was so cool, but I never got around to showing her that I picked this one up. So kind of bugged me, but yeah, I just really loved this one. Another one, again, back to that singer-songwriter. My mom really liked Cat Stevens, and so this right here, again, my mom playing the guitar, she would always play Moon Shadow. And because of that, Moon Shadow is my favorite Cat Stevens song. Always will be. There's just something about the way that song goes because it almost sounds like two different songs. But she just, her voice, the way she would sing, just the way she played the guitar, it was just something about it. And then this also has the cover, the Sam Cooke cover, Another Saturday Night. First time I ever heard that song was the Cat Stevens version, not the Sam Cooke version. And it was because of my mom, and this, so obviously there's so many great tracks on this. Cat Stevens was a great songwriter, but yeah, just again, so many memories of her and that guitar. Her playing, and just, yeah. So Cat Stevens, always think of her. And lastly, the last record I'm gonna show, again, I told you she was a huge Paul Simon fan. She's just a Simon and Garfunkel fan. This is my favorite, her favorite Simon and Garfunkel record. And Bridge Over Troubled Water was her absolute favorite song. She just loved the piano. She played it on the piano. Just a beautiful piano song. And honestly, if you listen to the words, it's just a beautiful song in general, what the song's about. And Art Garfunkel, beautiful voice. Just she loved that song so much, and so I grew up just knowing that song because of her, and the record itself is just good too. Cecilia, I Love that song, The Boxer. So good. You know, just I grew up listening to Simon and Garfunkel because of her. I remember her telling me that the reason she got into Simon and Garfunkel was because of her older brother giving her his Simon and Garfunkel records. And I think this is the one, like I said, that just kind of, it's the one that did it for her. And so this record, anytime I listen to Simon and Garfunkel or Paul Simon, just memories come flooding back of her, being with her in the car, being with her at home, listening to her play the piano, listening to her play the guitar. It's just fond memories that I will never let go of, and they're memories that I'm going to share with my children. You know, Sarah, you've seen her on videos before, and you've heard me mention to her, you know, she loves music as well, and I want to do what my mother did for me as an inspiration to music. I want to do that for her. And that's one of the reasons why I make these videos as well, is I want to be that inspiration. So anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope I wasn't too sappy. If you liked what you saw, just give me a thumbs up. I appreciate it. If you have any comments about these records, please leave them. Subscribe. Until next time, next video will not be so sad, I promise. But I will catch you guys next time. Thank you. Bye.